So, A Very Good Girl just came out on Netflix, so let's talk about it. So, just a disclaimer, if my voice kinda sounds like my throat got thrown in a blender, it's because I'm still recovering from a cold. So let's do this. So first of all, I would just like to say that I did kinda like the film. I watched it 2 times. The first time I didn't quite finish it because it was
disappointed!
But then when I was thinking about doing the review, and I thought, well, I should give it a fair shot and watch the entirety of the film at least, so I can be fair. And you know, after I did finish it, it had its moments.
That's pretty good.
It had really good parts. So let's discuss what I didn't like about the film. So first of all, Catherine Bernardo did slay it in this film. If anything, she carried the whole film and all her outfits were just slay queen. So I feel a lot of what went wrong with the film had to do with someone in the higher ups didn't quite know what they wanted to do. Because I feel like I watched 2 separate films.
What kind of is it?
In this movie. One part was, you know, a cheesy Filipino, you know, traditional rom-com film. And then the next half is, you know, an epic revenge thriller type film. So why did I say that? Well, tonally, well, a lot of the first act was colored quite differently, specifically in the day scenes. It was very poorly lit, and there is a very simple solution that could have solved everything. And this is this small thing, this small cap lens covers thing. It's called a UV filter, ND filter. It's supposed to go on top of your lens. It acts like shades. It makes everything not overexposed. I have one on this lens as well. And yeah, it's a very simple solution for day footage. So the night films, yeah, they were great. They were okay. They were like using these 2-tone lights. It was very interesting. A lot of those were, you know, very cinematic and very cool. They didn't really quite know what they want to do, specifically for the character as well. They kind of were trying to balance that, make her lovable, but, you know, make her a badass, make her revenge, but, you know, make her good, and it's very conflicting.
No. Well,
they should have stuck with one. Is this a character who would go all out for her revenge or not? Family or revenge? And they almost had it, but you know, it just felt very clunky. One of the other things that I found clunky with the film is the dialogue, and not, well, when I say dialogue, not specifically the acting, although some of the again, camera shots were weird, and I believe it kind of spoiled the impact of these dramatic moments. Also, again, going back to the dialogue part of this movie, it felt like the actors were waiting for each other to finish their lines.
What are you waiting for?
Before they started talking. And you know, sometimes in a normal conversation that does happen, but for, you know, intense conversations, you it's a back and forth. A lot of the times people are shouting simultaneously at the same time. If you're trying to rebut someone's opinion, if you're angry, you're not gonna wait for them to finish. So some of the dialogue felt a lot like that. It felt very theatrical in a sense, unrealistic. Also, something that was weird for this film, and I believe it didn't do it any favors, was the sound, the music design, the sound design, the music, the background music, the ambience. For the most part, again, specifically the earlier parts of the film, felt out of place. Again, there were intense scenes where the music just didn't help at all. It didn't like intensify the tension, and again, it was very jarring and it just ruined the whole experience. Also, one thing I believe they should have cut was a lot of the background, the flashbacks, because it was completely unnecessary, right? You could have shown the same thing through just character exposition or just very small flashbacks, which did happen at some point in the film, and it was okay. It was great. We got the same exact amount of information in that shortened version of the flashback compared to, you know, the whole, showing the whole backstory for the whole character. So again, I guess the pacing of the film was a bit off as well. I believe they could have cut a lot of it, specifically again from the first part, but I feel like this has something to do with the politics of the film.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Maybe the director or the producer, somebody in the higher ups were like, well, let's add this, let's make it quirky in the beginning and then a little bit more serious near the end. It felt all over the place, and I wish they had stuck to the serious tone. Like in the whole second, third act of the film was really good.
That's pretty good.
Almost excellent, but then again, I felt like somewhat the director wasn't, maybe, I don't know, someone wanted to do so much. So sadly, you know, it was almost a good run. There's a good movie in the middle, and then it's just sandwiched by bad openings and bad endings.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
So, well, I guess I have to rate it now. So, Catherine Bernardo has done a lot of great films, right? So, this was in the okay department, so I give it a 5 out of 10. So, you know, don't hate me. I'm not trying to bash the film. I'm just trying to understand why it felt like the director wasn't experienced, or I feel like a producer just came in and just told them, oh, change this, change this, change this. And, you know, the movie just didn't feel coherent. It felt like, you know, multiple people's vision of what this movie should be, and that should really seldom be the case. So guys, have you seen A Really Good Girl? What do you think? What do you think about it? Comment it down below.